Taking the sliders off, we mean business. Good morning! It's actually not morning. It's 3:07. Good afternoon, I guess. We have nearly finished 2023, and I have spent the year reading many books. I've done a few other things. I have left the house, but I've spent a large percentage of time. There's a weird echo in my room. Hello? Can you hear that? What? That's so weird. Why have I got an echo? Hello? That's so bizarre, my room has not changed shape. What on earth was I talking about? Oh yeah, it's end of 2023 and I've been reading. I don't know what this introduction was, I'm really sorry. I've had this channel for what, like 4 months now? I've really not mastered the introductions yet, or the outros, or much of the middle. Anyway, today I'm going to talk you through every single book I have rated 5 stars this entire year. And I'll be honest, it's not very many. There were a lot that were very, very, very close. There were a lot of like 4.75s, but I was like, I'm not going to include them. I'm not going to do it. These are the books that I think about regularly. I mean, they're all 5 stars for different reasons. There's one book in here that honestly is like, I rated it 5 stars, but I hated reading it. And there are other books that are really popular and people liked, and there are other books that I don't know why people don't love more, and I think it's an eclectic mix. I've just stopped filming to hear if you can hear the echo, and I don't think you can. But now I'm tripping myself out and I think I'm imagining it. Anyway, we are going to jump right in to the 5 stars in no particular order. My first 5-star read that I think about on the regular is The Long Walk by Stephen King. It basically follows a dystopian world in which there is a competition called The Long Walk, and The Long Walk takes 100 boys, and these boys have to go on a walk and they have to continue walking at a pace of 4 miles per hour, and they have to just keep going, and if they stop they are shot. It is a psychological thriller. I tried to read this when I was younger. I was quite young, I think I was probably like 14, and I hated it. I was like, nothing happens in this book, I don't like it. And I revisited it this year as an adult, and I flew through this. I think I read it in 1 day, 2 days. It is a masterpiece in character-driven storytelling. If you were to plot this book out on a piece of paper, it's not a plot twisty kind of book. There isn't loads happening, but I promise you it is engaging. And it feels like a disservice to say not a lot happens. Stuff does happen, but it is just all very internal and psychological. And you basically follow this boy called Garrity, who's one of the walkers, and you follow him as he does the walk. And you're in his head to the point where, as he's becoming a bit more delusional and tired and erratic, the writing style changes and you feel like you're kind of feeling that too, and you lose track of the days and the people, and it's just wonderful and I love it. And the ending of this book is poetic, is the best way I can put it. I just think it's stunning. The writing in this is stunning, the character, the storytelling, just everything about this is stunning, and I need everyone to read this, please. Okie doke. My next 5-star read is quite a recent 5-star read, and that is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. This is a literary fiction about a woman who she's a photographer, and her thing is that she photographs men who are considered not conventionally attractive, and she basically makes them do demeaning things and enjoys the power of it. And she is one of the most horrible main characters I've ever read, and I loved it. She is not likeable, she is not meant to be likeable. Almost no one in this book is likeable, but Eliza Clark did an incredible job of making unlikable characters so engaging, because sometimes you can have an unlikable protagonist who you kind of just go, oh, that means I just don't care about them. I don't like them, I don't need to know what's going on, and this is the exact opposite. She is horrible, but you're following everything she does and wanting to know what she does next. And this is another one, I flew through this, I think I read this in 2 days. I read almost all of it in 1 afternoon, because I couldn't put it down. There are a lot of very deep contents in here. There's a lot to do with sexual assault and drug abuse, mental health is talked about a lot, so I would check the trigger warnings for it. I've said this before, but it basically follows a woman unravelling, and you get to see all of the messy, gross, graphic parts of her life as it unravels. And it doesn't shy away from anything. It's the only book I've read by Eliza Clark, and I know she has another book, I want to say called Penance, I think it's called. Penance, yeah. Which I actually don't know what it's about, but Eliza Clark is now an instant buy author for me. Like, if I see anything by her, I'm buying it because this storytelling was just magnificent. Look, I can't do a 5-star wrap-up and not include it. I'm not going to bang on about it. I've got a whole video where I talk about this. If you want to watch it, go watch it. The whole world is obsessed with this book, and I am no exception. I'm sorry, I am absolutely like all the other girls. I love this. This was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. If you haven't heard of this, I would be amazed, but congratulations, I guess you spend a lot less time on the internet than I do. But this follows a girl called Violet. She is in a sort of war college, and she is kind of going through training and having to deal with a lot of stuff along the way. I really won't give a full synopsis because I'm sure everyone has heard the synopsis of this so many times if you watch as much booktube as I do. To give you my absolute very quick summary, super quick pace. It's one of my favourite things about this book is it moves so quickly. This honestly could have been 2 books, but I'm so happy it wasn't. Really fun characterizations. We've got enemies to lovers. We've kind of got a love triangle going on. We've got a strong female character. We've got dragons, we've got romance, we've got fantasy, we've got drama, we've got a bit of everything. I have got Iron Flame, which is the second book in this series. I am currently on page 14, so going strong. This is one of those books that I bought. I saw the rating on Goodreads. It was something like a 4.7 or a 4.6. It was very, very high, like unheard of high. And I was nervous going in. I was like, how is it possibly going to live up to this hype? And honestly, it did. I do understand the hype. Then we have the book that I was least willing to put in this list. And let me tell you why. This is the book. This is Tender as the Flesh. This book is a lot. The reason I've rated this book 5 stars is I think the writing and the storytelling is exquisite. However, did I enjoy reading it? I'm not sure this book is meant to be enjoyable. For anyone who doesn't know, this book is a dystopia and it follows a world where all the animals have died of a virus, or I know they've all caught an illness and all the animals have either died or have to have been slaughtered, so there's no meat left. And instead of turning to veganism, the society has decided to become cannibals. And what this story starts like quite, I think like maybe a year into that, so it's quite widely accepted. It's not following the sort of like transition. It follows a man who basically owns a slaughterhouse, but instead of slaughtering animals, it slaughters people. And these people are sort of specially bred and raised to be meat. So they call them, I think they called them like specimens or something. They refuse to refer to them as humans. It's a difficult read. It really, really is. But I cannot stop thinking about it. And it's one of the most unique books I've ever read. And that's why I'm including it in this list. Because I think if a book can make you feel something that deeply, and I mean, I read this months ago, and if I'm still thinking about it, I think at a certain point, it has to be on this list. Reading this makes you physically uncomfortable. But that is also the intention, and it raises so many interesting questions about morality. And if you want a hard-hitting book that sort of discusses humanity and morality, if you want a book that discusses big philosophical questions about our society, this is your guy. It's pretty short as well. I think it's like 220 pages. It took me quite a while to read it, actually, I think, if I remember correctly. This definitely isn't a book I flew through. This is definitely a book that I sort of had to prepare going into each time. But it has stuck with me in a way that a lot of books don't. So that's why it's on this list. and I'm very intrigued to see what other people think. I do have a reading vlog of this and another book if people want to check that out, so you can hear my full thoughts. If anyone has read this book, please do let me know, because I would love to hear people's thoughts, because I have one friend who read it and she said the exact same as me. She just said it's marvellous storytelling but very difficult to read. That was our consensus. So if anyone has that consensus or a different consensus, I'd be very interested to hear. Next up, we have The Push by Ashley Audrain. This follows a mother called Blythe and a daughter called Violet, and it follows pretty much Blythe's entire, not entire life, but sort of entire adulthood, entire motherhood. And basically it follows from when Blythe has Violet, and then throughout Violet growing up. And effectively, this book is about Blythe deciding that her daughter is evil. And it's wonderful. This is a psychological thriller, definitely maybe horror elements. There's a lot of quite graphic stuff in here. This is another book a little bit like Eliza Clark's Boy Parts, that it does not shy away from anything. This is graphic, it is gory, and it has amazing conversations. It has conversations about mental health, about motherhood, about parenthood, about raising children, about all of the great and difficult things that come with that. This is another book that I just flew through and could not put down, and is a book that I really want to reread. And there are very few books that I want to reread. Like I'm not much of a rereader. I'd rather read new stuff, but I have every intention to reread this at some point. All of the thriller elements of this are really exciting. You're following Blythe as she does very questionable things. She's another character that's very morally grey. She's maybe not dislikable, maybe she was. She's not as dislikable as Eliza Clark's Boy Parts main character was, but she's definitely morally grey. I've got quite a lot of morally grey books up here. Maybe that's the theme. The other fun thing about this book is how you don't really know how reliable the main character is. There are certain things that she does and you're on board with, and then there are other things that she does and you're like, why on earth have you done that? And it makes it very fun because you don't know whether to back this character, you don't know if this character is even telling the truth, and you kind of, by the last page, know what was reality and what wasn't, if that makes sense. But it's a fun one to kind of lose yourself in and not quite know what is real and what isn't. And I loved it, and I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time with it. Our penultimate book on this list is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. This follows a woman called Libby who inherits a house from her adopted family that she never knew. And the house is this really big fancy house in Chelsea. And inside that house, Libby's adoptive family died of a sort of suicide pact, or at least that was what it seemed to be. And since inheriting the house, she basically is sort of trying to figure out what happened to her family. And there are 3 timelines, so one of them follows that, and the other 2 sort of follow what happened in the past and where some of those people are now. It's just had so much more depth to it than I was expecting. I was expecting it to sort of be like a whodunit, trying to figure out the mystery of why these people died. And it was that, but it was so much deeper than that. Everything that happened inside that house read like a literary fiction, but with the pace and the sort of fun elements of a thriller. Reading this, I was just so engaged the entire time. There is a sequel to this called The Family Remains, which I own, and for whatever reason have not read yet. And I don't know why, because I've been so excited to get to it, and then I think I don't know, I keep having to read other things for other videos and I keep not getting to it, but I really want to get to it because this sort of does wrap up. Like, it's not a standalone, but most of, like, 98% of everything that goes on in here is answered. You could probably read this as a standalone, but there is still a lot more to be explored, and that's why I'm really excited to get to the second one. This definitely surprised me, and it's my first Lisa Jewell book, and I have bought quite a few since then because I just think her writing style is so engaging. The final book we have on this list is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is another book a little bit like Fourth Wing, where everybody hyped this up to me. Everybody told me how incredible this was. It has such a good rating on Goodreads. I've heard nothing but good things, and I went in with high expectations. And that can be very, very dangerous, and that can ruin a book for someone. And I was talking to someone in the comments the other day where they had that experience, and that makes me so sad because I'm so happy that I just had the best experience with this book. This follows a actress called Evelyn Hugo, who I think she's about 80, and she has become this massive Hollywood star, but she doesn't do interviews. And one day she agrees to do an interview with a woman called Monique, which is really random. No one knows why she wants Monique specifically, but she basically agrees to sell her life story to Monique. And this follows Evelyn's entire life from, I think she's around 17, 18, all the way through her career. It obviously centers around her relationship. She has 7 husbands, and it's a very, very heavy romance theme, but it's not... I think it is listed as a romance, but to me, I think it's like historical fiction with a lot of romance. The main sort of couple in this, which, again, I can't say for spoiler reasons, but if you know, you know. The main sort of couple in this is just one of those like die-hard book couples for me. Like, it's one of those relationships that I just think about all the time. And the story is heartbreaking and beautiful, and this did make me cry. Pretty much, I have a correlation where if a book makes me cry, it is 5 stars. I don't know what that says about me or my tastes, but it is a thing. There's just, for me, something about a book that can make you feel that much emotion, and the sort of last, I don't know, 50 pages of this, roughly, was just wave after wave of hurt and heartbreak. This is one of those books where I completely forgot I was reading a book, and if that's not what we're all after, I don't know what is. And there we go, those are my top books of the year. I said this at the start, I've read lots of other books that I absolutely adored, but these are the ones that just sort of stuck in my mind for whatever reason. There were many, 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 many honourable mentions that we could have included, but I wanted to just keep this short and sweet. Well, this video probably isn't short because I don't do anything. I really do ramble. I'm sure this video is still 40 minutes long somehow. But all of this to say that I've had a very good reading year, and these are some of the best, not all of the best, but definitely some of. Thank you very much for watching. We are nearly at the end of 2024. We only have one more video of the entire year. I really appreciate everyone who has supported this channel this year. It means the absolute world to me. And if you want to subscribe, I've heard now would be a good time. It's just something I heard. So if you want to do it, you could do it now. Thank you so much for all the support. I hope you're all having a beautiful, wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!